Hello, dear friends, and welcome to this week's special Zohar reading for world peace session that we're about to have. Today's reading, I feel, is going to be extra special because we have this very large Kabbalah convention that's happening in Israel right now. So it's going to give us, I think, some extra flavor, some extra discernments. And I feel like we're all gonna get a lot more out of this gathering because there's this huge gathering that's taking place in Israel. So today we're not gonna wish just for world peace, but we're also gonna wish for the successful gathering that's happening, for this beautiful connection that's gonna take place here to really spread throughout the whole world, and together. Through this reading that we're about to do, for there to be peace in the world, and of course to make the Creator happy with all the actions that we're doing. So thank you guys for joining. Before we begin, let's see who's with us. All right, we have Carl from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Julie from Salt Lake, Utah, Sean from Melbourne, Australia, our friends from Romania, Sylvia is writing greetings and shalom from the Netherlands, Francine is writing prayers from Portland, Oregon, Tolik from Brooklyn, Patricia from Ohio, Elizabeth is writing greetings from the Netherlands. Dewi Shalom from Alaska. Carly is sending a heart from California. And he's writing Shalom from Western North Carolina. There's friends from Denmark, Washington, let's see, Colombia, Florida, Utah, all over. Thank you guys for joining us to this very special Zohar reading broadcast for world peace. And we're gonna begin this reading. We're gonna begin with a clip from Rav Laitman, where he's gonna talk about the beauty and the secret behind the Book of Zohar. So here we go.
Rashbi and the secret he wanted to reveal, and he had doubts about it. What's the big secret concealed in the Book of Zohar? I don't know, probably Rashbi didn't tell? No, really, what's the big secret? The big secret is that if you relate correctly to the book, you draw from there the reforming light. The reforming light which you draw, it could be both the potion of life and the potion of death, depending on how you relate to the Zohar and to the Torah in general. You see, the Tanakh, Talmud, Mishnah, Talmud, all the other books written by Kabbalists, in all the fields of the Kabbalah, they're not forbidden. Only the Zohar was forbidden, only the Zohar was concealed. And also other Kabbalistic scriptures, but especially the Zohar. Why? Because there's light in it, and in the others, not that much. For us, God forbid to say that there's no light in the Torah written by Moses. But for us, there's none. It's extremely exalted and high, and the Zohar is close to me. But if I'm still in the ego, I can use it in order to receive, and then that light turns into the potion of death for me. If I want to achieve bestowal, then that light, it turns into the potion of life for me. It helps me achieve the vessels of bestowal. But we see that even with the ordinary Torah, if a person studies it incorrectly, he becomes more egoistic, he demands more. I deserve it, everyone must serve me, I'm great, I'm special, I'm righteous. Why does he think that? Because the light of the Torah became a potion of death for him, increasing his ego. Instead of decreasing it, instead of feeling himself less than others, he feels himself more than others. Now, you want the wisdom of Kabbalah to be studied that way too? People were undergoing a process. What does it say in the Zohar? At the end of the days, that wisdom shall be revealed for the correction of the world. when the world will be ready for correction, when they'll start discovering how truly it is meant for correction. So come the Kabbalists of the last generation, and they're the ones telling us that the time has come.
All right. The time has indeed come. We're living in a very special time in the world, and we want to right now take a few seconds just to focus our intentions. What do we want to get from this reading? Where do we see ourselves before this reading, and where do we see ourselves afterward? Let's really aim ourselves to that future state. How will we look in the future state? How will the world look in the future state? So what do we want the creator to give us through this reading? Right now, we're just going to take 20 seconds just to orient ourselves, to set our intention, and then we're going to begin. All right, let's begin. We're going to be reading from the Book of Zohar. This is the second article in the introduction to the Book of Zohar, which is really the introduction, as we know, is the strongest part, the part that has the most amount of light. That's like the summation of all of the work of the Book of Zohar put together into one introduction by the authors of the Zohar, and it really contains the essence of all of the light that's contained in the Book of Zohar. So it's a very powerful piece. This particular piece is a little bit more technical than the Rose, which was the article right before this one. But let's really not let go of that intention, and we're going to flow together with the authors and with Baal Sulam, who wrote this the commentary on the Zohar. Let's begin. The Rose, mirrors of the Sulam ladder. 1. They engraved an explicit name was sewn in 42 letters of the work of creation. There are many numbers in the counting of the Sefirot. 1. The number Kahab, Hagat, Nihim. 2. The number 7, Hagat, Nihim. 3. The number 6, called Vak, Hagat, Nihi. 4. The number 5, 5 or 5 Gurot, Hagat, Netzach, Hod. 5. The number 13, the 13 qualities of mercy, or upper, Kahab, Hagat, and lower, Hagat and Nahim. We must understand, it is said in Sefer Yetzirah, the Book of Creation, 10 and not 9, 10 and not 11. Thus we must neither subtract nor add to the number 10. Instead, we must know that the 10 Sefirot, Kahab, Hagat, Nahim, are essentially only 5 Sefirot, Kahab, Tum, except that the Sefirah Tiferet contains within it 6 Sefirot, Hagat, Nihi, and thus we arrive at the number 10. However, all those 6 elements, Hagat, Nihi, are but detailing of a single Sefirah, Tiferet. The reason that we only detail Tiferet and not the first 3, Gar, is not because of the merit of Tiferet, but because of her deficiency compared to Gar, since this detailing is the inclusion of 5 Sefirot in one another, and each of which are 5 Sefirot. It follows that there are 5 Sefirot, Kahab, Tum, in Keter, 5 Sefirot Kachabtum in Chokhmah, and 5 Sefirot Kachabtum in Bina. Also, there should also be 5 Sefirot Kachabtum in Tiferet. However, since the essence of Tiferet is only light of Chassidim and not Chokhmah, and the 5 Sefirot included in it are necessarily only 5 Chassidim, the names of the 5 Sefirot in it have therefore changed, since Kachab descended in it into Hagat, and Tiferet Malchut descended in it into Netzachod. Hence, the 5 Sefirot included in Tiferet are only Hagat, Netzach, Chod. Also, a discernment that includes all of 5 Chassidim was added to it, and it is called Yesod. This is why there are 6 Sefirot in Tiferet, Hagat Nehi, and why are the 5 Sefirot included in each of the Kachab not counted in the number of the Sefirot, and only the elements of Tiferet are counted in the number of the Sefirot. It is so because the integration of the Sefirot in one another does not add to the number of the 5 primary Sefirot, making them worthy of particular mention. But with the integration of the 5 Sefirot in Tiferet, the 5 Sefirot became new phases in it, 5 Chassidim. Hence, they are mentioned as 5 particular phases in the Sefirot and are included in the count of the Sefirot. Thus, Tiferet, being counted as 6 Sefirot Hagat Nehi, is because of its inferiority compared to Gar, as it is only light of Chassidim. Also, in all the numbers in the count of Sefirot, it does not decrease from the number 10, which is essentially only 5 Sefirot. This is so because 10 Sefirot means including the 6 Sefirot detailed in Tiferet. And when we say 5 Sefirot, it means without the detailing of the Vak in Tiferet. And the count of Vak is 5 Sefirot included in Tiferet with its Kolel, it's including, or one that includes, with its Kolel called Yesod. And the count of 7 Sefirot is when we calculate Malchut along with Tiferet. 2. Let us explain the number 13. This number first emerged in the world of correction and the establishment of the Partuf, since in each Partuf in Etzilut, Bria, Yetzirah, Asiyah, there are only 3 vessels, Bina, Zeranpin, and Malchut, and the vessels of Keter and Chokhmah are missing. The lights of Keter and Chokhmah clothed within the vessels of Bina, but for themselves, each Sphira contains these 3 vessels. Even in Keter, Chokhmah, there are 3 vessels of Bina and Zon in Keter, Bina and Zon in Chokhmah, and Bina and Zon in Bina. Thus, the vessel of Keter and Chokhmah is missing in all the Sefirot, and Bina, Zeranpin, and Nukva are present in all the Sefirot. The 3 vessels Bina, Zeranpin, and Malchut are divided into 10 Sefirot, since each of them comprises 3 lines, right, left, and middle. The 3 lines in Bina became Chokhmah Bina Dat. The 3 lines in Zeranpin became Hagat. The 3 lines in Malchut became Nehi. And with the Malchut that contains them, there are 10 Sefirot. Thus, each Partuf has 10 Sefirot, Habat, Hagat, Nehim. It is known that Rosh of Arich Anpin of Atzilut has only 2 Sefirot, Keter, Chokhmah, which are called Keter and Chochma Stima'ah, whose Bina emerged from Rosh of Arichanpin and became Guf, Vak, lacking the Mochin of Rosh. This is the meaning of Abba taking Ima outside. For this reason, Bina divided into Gar and Zat. For the flaw of lack of Mochin of Rosh does not blemish the Gar of Bina whatsoever, as she is only light of Chasedim in her essence in the 10 Sefirot of direct light. And there is no difference in that light when it is in the Rosh or in the Guf, since it always illuminates equally. Hence, the exit of Bina from the Rosh does not diminish her from Gar and from the Mochin of the Rosh. Thus, Gar of Bina were separated to be on their own and became the Partzufim of upper Abba Ve'ima, which are considered Gar, although they stand from Peh of Arichanpin and downward. But Zat of Bina, which are essentially Bina, but from the incorporation of Zon in Bina, need illumination of Chochma as well, to impart to Zon. For this reason, they suffer from this flaw of Bina's exit from Rosh Arichanpin, since by this they became devoid of Chochma. Thus, they are regarded as Vak and Guf, lacking the Mochin of Rosh. Because of this flaw, they were separated from Gar of Bina and became a separate Partzuf called Yishsut. It follows that the exit of Bina from the Rosh of Arichanpin created two distinct phases in her, Gar and Zat. As a result, 3 Sefirot were added to the Partzuf because now the 3 lines in Gar of Bina were considered Habad. The 3 lines in Zat and Bina were considered upper Hagat. The 3 lines in Ziranpin were considered lower Hagat. And the 3 lines in Malchut as Nehi. Along with the Malchut that includes them, there are 13 Sefirot. Thus, the exit of Bina from the Rosh causes the number 13 Sefirot in the Partzuf, since twofold Hagat were made in the Partzuf. However, this is not permanent, since by raising main Nukvin, Man from the lower ones, illumination from Ab, Sag of Ak is extended, and this illumination brings the Bina back to Rosh of Arichanpin, and then the Zat of Bina can receive Chochma from Arichanpin and impart upon the sons to Zon. It is considered that the exit of Bina from Rosh of Arichanpin in the beginning was essentially only in order to impart illumination of Chochma to Zon. Were it not for the exit, it would have been impossible to extend illumination of Chochma to Zon. Thus, these 3 Sefirot that were added by the exit of Bina are only preparation and qualification for extension of Mochin of Chochma to Zon, which are the 7 days of creation. Thus, in every place, the number 13 is regarded as extension of Chochma to Zon. This explains the difference between 5 Sefirot and 13 Sefirot. The 5 Sefirot indicate that they have only 5 Chassidim, but 13 indicates the extension of illumination of Chochmah by the 3 Sefirot, upper Hagat, which were added due to Bina's exit. Okay, we reached item 3. Let's take another few seconds to reorient ourselves. Did we lose the intention? Do we still remember what we want to get out of this reading? Or did we lose ourselves in Bala Salam's beautiful explanations of the upper world and how he depicts these things that seemingly seem like fairy tales in this pure scientific way? So let's just take a few seconds and recalibrate our intention. we'll continue with item 3. Now we'll explain the name 42 and 42 couplings. Due to Bina's exit, she divided into Gar and Zat. Gar of Bina were established as Partsuf upper Abba Ve'ima, clothing Arichanpin from its Peh through the Chazeh, and the light in them is called pure air. Zat of Bina were established as Partsuf Yishsut, which clothes Arichanpin from Chazeh to Tabor, and the light in them is called plain air. Air means light of Ruach, meaning only light of Chasadim, without Chokhmah. For this reason, Bina is considered to have departed the Rosh of Arichanpin into the state of air, since due to the exit from Rosh of Arichanpin, which is Chokhmah, there is only light of Chasadim in her, without Chokhmah, which is called air. However, there's a difference between upper Abba Ve'ima and Yeshut. Upper Abba Ve'ima are Gar of Bina. They are not flawed by their exit from the Chokhmah, since their essence is Chasadim, without Chokhmah. Even when the lower ones raise Man and Bina returns to Rosh of Arichanpin, upper Abba Ve'ima do not receive Chokhmah, but only Yeshut. Gar of Bina never change their nature, and are therefore not flawed at all by the exit from the Rosh. They are regarded as though they never emerged from Rosh of Arichanpin, and they are considered complete Gar. For this reason, they are regarded as pure air. Thus, they're also unknown air, which means that their dad does not draw Chokhmah, and their air does not become light of Chokhmah. However, Yeshut, Zat of Bina, which need the light of Chokhmah in order to impart to Zon, are blemished by the exit from Rosh of Arichanpin, because the absence of Chokhmah, due to their being at the Guf of Arichanpin, is sensed to them as an actual deficiency. For this reason, their air is not considered pure air, but only plain air, or air that is about to become known and to draw Chokhmah through the Man, which is called Da'at. This is so because while the lower one raise Man, Bina returns to being completely Rosh of Arichanpin, and then Yeshut receive Chokhmah from Arichanpin and impart to Zon. At that time, it is considered that the Yod comes out of the Avir, air, and becomes light, which is light of Chokhmah. Thus, the air of Yeshut is known, but upper Abba Ve'ima remain as pure air then too, upon their return to Rosh of Arichanpin, and the Yod does not come out of their Avir, because they never change their ways. This is why they are called air that is not known. Also, there is Parsa inside the May, the belly or intestines, inside the May of Arichanpin, which was made in the place of Chazeh. This is the firmament that separates the upper water, which is Rosh of Arichanpin, from upper Abba Ve'ima, which clothe him from the Peh to the Chazeh, since the Rosh of Arichanpin continues through there. Hence, the Parsa stands beneath them and divides between them and Yeshut and Zon. Lower water, which is devoid of illumination of the Rosh of Arichanpin. This is why the lower waters cry, "We want to be before the king," since they wish to rise and receive the illumination of Chokhmah from Rosh of Arichanpin. 4. Explanation of the name 42 in two manners. 1. the name 42 of Atzilut, which is called there an actual form, and all the names are imprinted from it. It is the 4 letters of the simple Havaya, and the 10 letters of the filled Havaya, and the 28 letters of the filling, which together make up 42 letters. 2. The name 42 of the work of creation, which are the 7 days of creation, Zon of Atzilut, having 32 Elokim and 10 utterances, which add up to 42. Explanation. The lights received above the Parsa through the Yesod of upper Abba V'Ima, through the Yesodot, of upper Abba V'Ima, above the Chazeh, where the Rosh of Arichanpin, which is Keter, and upper Abba V'Ima, which are Chochma Bina, are called there 42 of Atzilut. For all the names of the 42 are imprinted from it. Hence, they are implied in simple Havaya, Keter, Havaya in filling, Chochma, and Havaya in filling of filling, which is Bina. It follows that the pure air in Abba V'Ima is the name 42. However, Zon, which are the 7 days of creation, cannot receive anything from the name 42, since they are below the Parsa of the Chazeh of Arichanpin. They are the lower water, the void of Gar, and receive from Yirsut, whose air is not pure air. And they cannot receive from the upper Abba V'Ima, which are the name 42, because the Parsa divides between them. However, when the lower ones raise Man, and Mad is drawn from Ab Sag of Adam Kadmon, this illumination brings Bina back to Rosh of Arichanpin, at which time Yirsut receive illumination of Chochmah and impart to Zon. Then Zon become as above Parsa of Chazeh of Arichanpin, and they too receive pure air from upper Abba V'Ima. At that time, Zon are discerned as the name 42 as well. For this reason, the name 42 of Zon is implied in 32 Elokim and 10 utterances, which together make up 42 in Gematria. For the 32 Elokim is Yirsut, when they rise to the Rosh and receive illumination of Chochmah from the 32 paths of Chochmah, since the 32 paths of Chochmah make 32 names of Elokim in Yirsut. These are the 32 times the name Elokim is mentioned in the work of creation. All right, we're gonna stop there. Let's take a second and reflect on what we went through. What did you guys think of today's reading of the Book of Zohar? It was a little bit different, I would think, compared to the regular reading, because today was a lot more of Baal Salam's commentary on the Book of Zohar. Did you feel the difference between, like a normal week reading when there's like this mixture between the original Zohar and Baal Salam's commentary, and today, in which there was a lot more of that commentary and his explanation of what's written in the Book of Zohar in the language of the 10 Sefirot. So let us know in the comments what you thought of it, if you were able to hold on to the intention through all this reading. And if not, there's a lot of these things are covered in the courses that we offer in Kabu. So if you feel today was a bit of a challenge, you're welcome to join one of these courses, and afterwards you'll feel that there's really not much behind all of these words. It's very simple, I would say, the science of the upper world. So thank you guys for participating. Feel free to share some comments of what you thought of today's session. And before we conclude, we're just gonna read a few comments that I see coming in here. Maria's writing Shalom from Hungary. Evelina is writing thank you. Anachna is writing Hi, Shavuot Tov. Macarena is writing from St. Lucia, West Indies. Sean is writing beautiful thank you. And Carly's writing love this style, thank you. So thank you everyone for joining us. And until next week, wishing you all the best.